You're ready to be premature all over again.
Wow, that's impressive.
Quick
bro.
reset.
Yeah.
Quick reset.
Last night was Ramos Jizz.
Freudian slip.
Who knew the job was pro bono?
I was so high that I shit myself at some point.
Okay, I can still hear somebody. Everybody mute. Goddamn it, you're killing me.
My SEAL Team 6 went to SEAL Team 12.
There's nothing wrong with punching above your weight.
I thought you'd get better.
Well,
I don't know what's worse. You're a ginger or you've been vaccinated.
You sit around and drink and solve the world's problems, right?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is another week. It is another topic. This is one we have not talked before. We haven't touched on it. We've never alluded to it. So this is going to be something that is completely different. The other three individuals, and thankfully we have everybody on the show, and I'm glad we do. But this is never something that has been on somebody's radar. And so I'm curious really how this is going to go. So we're going to find out. But before we do that, obviously, gentlemen, thank you for being here. How's everybody doing?
Doing really well.
No.
Don't
Yeah,
beachy.
All right, so let's jump into our drinks. Haas, you know what? Since you've been gone, I'm going to let you start and tell us what you brought to the table today.
And in honor of you fine gentlemen, I pulled out the good shit today. I was like,
The
what
holy
am I
hand
going to
grenade.
do to honor? What am I going to do to honor these fine gentlemen for holding down the fort in my
And you pulled
stead?
out the
So
gold.
I pulled out the
And-
Blanton's gold,
Made
and
a
I poured
boulevardier with it.
I poured a Haas
A
portion.
healthy portion.
Whoa.
Yeah, I poured a Haas portion because reasons.
The Blantone's gold.
Yes, sir.
There
So
you
that's
go.
what I'm doing today, in honor of you fine gentlemen.
Look, it's you don't cease to amaze. It is always something simple. In this case, a single spirit on an ice cube and a lot of it.
I was
So
gonna say, don't say a single pour because that is
No,
not a single pour.
that's a Haas single pour. That's a Haas
Mm,
single pour. It looks like someone urinated all into a glass.
Mm-mm. No, she was a squirter.
Squirter.
She's a squirter.
Yeah, sure she was. All right, so we got Blanton's Gold single on a giant ice cube. All right, Grinch, what about you, brother? You were late to the show, so I'm gonna go ahead and pivot to you. What are you drinking? Cork notwithstanding.
I grabbed two trees, and it's their sea salted caramel flavored whiskey.
Okay.
So it's a sea salted caramel old fashioned, basically. So I did not
Nice.
add any simple syrup because you don't need to. It's already sweet enough, and frankly, it would just make it ridiculous. So just a little bit of ice and some bitters.
And
that's it?
How is it?
Yeah, it's good. I mean,
Sounds
it's
good.
drinking candy.
yeah.
Candy in a glass.
Liquid candy in a glass. I love
Yeah.
it.
That's funny. Haas said the same thing about his Blanton's Gold. It's candy in a glass. It's all in your perspective. All right, Big Mac.
Yep.
What about you, brother? I appreciate you being here. What are you drinking today?
No, so I made a Godfather.
It's been had before.
Has it?
Yes, Haas had it, I believe.
So you made him a drink he couldn't refuse.
He could refuse, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, just bourbon and amaretto. 2 ounces to a half. I went a little over a half an ounce. You're supposed to pour it over ice. We're having some issues with the ice maker here
Motherfucking
at the
ice
house, so it was scrambling for a few pieces of ice.
So-
but it's pretty good.
So naturally, I have to ask because I think I did the last time you mentioned amaretto. Was this a homemade amaretto? Because I know you've
No,
done
no,
that. No,
This
okay.
was not. This was something I purchased.
I'm just curious because I know you've done homemade amaretto in the past. So I was curious if you did that.
No,
All right, cool.
no. And then Eagle Rare.
As your base, solid,
That is solid.
solid as a rock. Good for you, man. And do you like Eagle Rare?
It's okay.
What?
Wow, did I just get booted? It's good.
Possible.
I like Weller's better.
Okay, well
yeah.
that's. I mean,
Well, I
that's
tell you that
that's-
Weller's is
that's fair.
pretty tough to beat.
yeah, that's fair. Can't really argue. If you were like, oh, I like Jim Beam, I'd be like, excuse me. But okay, it's hard to argue with that. Grinch right now is going, I drink Jim Beam, motherfucker.
Hey,
Look at
it's
that.
all,
Red-
it's all
it's
about
Red
the
Solo
price
Cup.
point.
That's
I mean,
it,
they've
that's
they've got levels just like most every distillery.
Everybody else.
Hey, Mac, on that Eagle Rare, what was the price point?
That's a good question.
What'd you pay for it?
I don't know.
I do.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
then answer your
nothing.
own
It was
question.
free to you, and that's an incredible price point.
Yes, it really is.
So,
And it's almost gone. I got maybe one more drink out of it.
Yeah, you
oh,
just
shit.
pour it out. You don't even lose anything.
That's true. You didn't
I
pay
know,
for
right?
it. What the fuck?
I feel
Just go
relatively
back and
confident.
water a tree.
Yeah, you're like this.
I
I
costs
feel
me nothing.
relatively confident that one of you three would come up here and give me a beat down if I did that.
Not
Well, it
me.
would be me. Grinch won't, because Grinch is paid for alcohol and poured it out, if I'm not mistaken. Mezcal.
Yes.
Well,
Poured it
that's
out.
okay.
So
We've all been there.
that's it. All right. And so now we'll go to me. I did this. I was out yesterday with the wife, and we were celebrating birthdays, and we went by this place, and I saw this sign, and it made me think of you, Mac. And so I decided I was going to make a drink today. Not so much in your honor, but because I saw the sign and I thought of you. And the sign said, I drink tequila because it's Mexico somewhere. And I thought that was good.
That sounds right.
Tends to be what you do. So I've never seen this before. I got a bottle in my silent auction win. I got a bottle of Jose Cuervo Singe, and it's cinnamon
not heard of
tequila.
that.
I hadn't either. Cinnamon tequila. And it is coconut cinnamon margarita.
Hmm.
Yeah, you think that. I'm not sure if that sounds really good, or not sure that's a combination.
It was the latter.
No, that sounds really good. Yeah.
It's separating, unfortunately. But, it's like Jim Croce's song, If I Could Put Jizz in a Bottle. I think that was the song. If I could put jizz in a bottle.
Sounds about right.
Ramos jizz. So it is
Be a great Friday night.
It's the cinnamon tequila with coconut cream, orange liqueur, an ounce of fresh lime juice, and then cinnamon syrup. So I made a simple syrup and I put cinnamon sticks in it and let it sit to give it some more cinnamon flavor, because I like cinnamon. And then you just shake it all up and put it on ice.
Give it a little tap.
So, do you need to like stir it back up or what?
I probably should, but I don't have a fucking spoon.
We'll wait.
Ooh.
You got a finger.
I mean, you've got
Now
something
lick
there
it.
that you've got something with you could use to stir it up with.
Well, I don't think it'll go deep enough there. I mean, it is a shot glass.
What is it that's separating on the bottom? Is that the tequila?
Yeah, I think it's just the way, because the coconut cream and stuff separates out.
Okay.
But
So have you tried the cinnamon tequila by itself?
no,
I'm
I
curious
haven't.
to see how that is.
Fuck.
Is that good or bad?
Holy shit.
But what is this called?
Coconut cinnamon margarita.
Okay. That was the name. I thought
No.
that was like literally a description.
The only difference in the recipe calls for coconut tequila, which I didn't have. So I used the cinnamon tequila and
switched
coconut.
up.
And you're supposed to use coconut cream even with the coconut tequila. But I use cinnamon tequila and still use the coconut cream. And it is really good.
I was just talking with the guy at ABC the other day because I
As
think
you do.
Yeah, right.
Is it Cazadores? And maybe that's the brand. They're starting to finish their tequila in like bourbon barrels and stuff.
Really?
And I was like, is it that versatile of a spirit? And I mean, obviously they're trying to make it that versatile of a spirit by adding coconut, and so forth. But I have never heard of cinnamon flavored tequila.
Neither have I. It's
I've
Jose
had-
Cuervo and it's called Singe.
Yeah, I've had vanilla flavored tequila. I tried coffee tequila. Unfortunately, that was the one that did not make it back.
Make it back. Well, it's weird because tequila is not a neutral grain spirit like a vodka,
Right.
which, vodka will pick up flavors like that. But tequila does have its own flavor profile. And I've never had vanilla tequila. Is that good? Like, is it taste funny because it's in a tequila base, or?
I mean, I think it tastes okay.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. I was surprised because, like I said, I didn't taste the cinnamon by itself. It smells really good and it smells fucking cinnamony. I imagine it's what is some of the others that are cinnamon based, like what's Jack Daniels do? Haas, you drink?
They do honey.
No, but the cinnamon one. What's that called?
You're talking about Fireball?
Oh, yeah.
Fire, the
Fireball,
Jack Daniels
so that
Fire.
was-
Fire.
and I'm
Yeah,
telling you, that
Fireball's like
stuff
its own
is-
thing.
That Jack Fire is pretty good.
But I've never had tequila, and so I was like, when I saw it, I was like, what am I going to do with that?
You take a shot of that Jack Fire and mix it with like a cider, an apple cider.
Or you
Ooh,
just take
apple
a
pie
shot of
makes
Jack
sense.
Fire every time somebody shows up to a party, and you spread it out over an entire day like we did. Fun
Yeah.
times. All right.
So,
Well,
I just want to circle back to a comment Grinch and Haas made. Grinch, you said you were in the ABC store just kind of chatting the guy up, and Haas, as you
Like
tend
you
to
do.
do.
Yep.
It was interesting. I was at the ABC store yesterday,
Chatting a guy.
looking for Well, no, I was because I don't like to talk to people, but I was looking for the Southern
Can I
Pines
help
gin and
you? Get the
tonic.
fuck away from me.
Ah,
I don't know
Okay.
you,
Find it.
bitch. Back up.
Yeah, can't find it here just yet. Still looking for it. But anyway, so talking to the guy, and he, how you doing? I'm like, dude, I'm in an ABC liquor store on a Saturday afternoon. I'm doing pretty good.
Getting
Yeah,
Eagle Rare. I love.
No.
ABC has a central distribution hub, so I think
Yeah.
it's like I think there's like 132 districts or something like that, or stores that they have to like allocate and plan
Oversee.
for, and
Yeah.
so it's like we don't know where it all goes.
You
We
need to
just
get to
know.
work and just start producing more. That's
Yeah.
what I'm hearing.
Well, it's in the ABC's stores here.
Of course it is. Local.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So enough of that. So, gentlemen, cheers. Obviously, to
Cheers,
all of you.
and
Thank you for
Cheers.
being here. No. So, in all seriousness, so this topic, and it was one that I thought of the other day because I was actually talking to Mac, and so I decided I want to throw this out there as a topic for debate and get y'all's opinion because it is something that affects you. And the debate is, the question is, when do you know when it's time to stop hosting a podcast?
Well,
How
if it's
long
our
should
podcast,
Boy,
how
that
long
was
should
that
it
was
go
a
on?
big mic drop, right?
How long should it go on? And is there a benchmark, a roadmap to saying, have we taken it as far as we can go? And should it
well,
be
hold
time
on.
to stop?
More importantly, have we taken it as far as we want to take it?
That's another perfectly
Because I
good
don't give a
question.
shit if we've taken. I don't care if we beat this dead horse 20 miles down the road past where we should have. If we're still showing up and having fun and enjoying it, it doesn't matter.
Fair point. But that is, we're showing up and having fun.
Yeah.
And I'm
Sure.
using
says the guy that doesn't do all the editing, right?
No, and I recognize that's fair. But in my defense, I have been sending him some AI tools that are supposed to really help reduce that time down.
Really?
Have you getting my text message?
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did receive your text, and I did look into those, and some of those in terms of what we have access to, and things like that, and how reliable is it in terms of how it edits or how it records and will put out your information. Your podcast is a whole nother thing I haven't actually taken, again, because that takes time to actually go in and make sure and check and see, and so suffice to say, this came to pass because the other day I was on with Mac and we were talking, and I asked him, do you think the podcast has basically reached the end of the road? Or, it's not about us getting together. I love getting together week in and week out. I'm talking about the recording, the editing, the posting. Are we expecting the analytics? Because Mac, you had asked, what about the analytics? Well, we've got over 20,000 downloads, but that's in nearly 3 years. When you look at the metrics for monetization and success of a podcast, they say for proper monetization of a podcast, you need about 5,000 downloads per episode. Well, we've got nearly 180 episodes. And so clearly you can go 180 episodes between the two podcasts, 5,000 an episode. We ain't there.
That math is racist, by the way.
It is. But we also said we weren't doing this in terms of that. It was about having fun. And when it became not being fun, it was time to say,
Well,
potentially.
I will also claim that I can use the same information to argue two different sides. So
I would go for it.
Well, I mean, you either say you ignore it because
Right.
you're like, that's not why we're doing it, or you say, I'm going to listen to it because maybe I need to see which way the wind's blowing, take the hint or whatever.
Right.
Well,
So
and I think the point that I was kind of making, right, is, this was really primarily one fold that Haas hit on, right? It was about us getting together when COVID started, right? And I don't want to lose that by any stretch of the imagination, because I absolutely enjoy hanging out with you guys, and that is, always been our main driving force. The question is all the rest of the stuff kind of fluff at this point?
And I know
is it extra work that you're having to do? I know we've got people traveling, missing episodes, which again is not that big of a deal. We can push forward.
But it's as I said at the outset, Mac, you brought this in early on before we ever started recording. Was what we were doing sustainable? Were there going to be enough topics? Were there going to be enough interesting topics?
Well, considering we've gotten to the topic of should we keep doing this, that makes me wonder, do we have enough topics?
Well, no. I mean,
Well,
there
it's
are
been
plenty
what,
of
almost 3 years?
almost August will be
Yeah.
3 years. Technically September, which is when we recorded our first episode, September will be 3 years that we've been doing this. And like I said, nearly 180 episodes. Me posing this question isn't I'm done, that's it. It is, when do you decide? Do you look at the analytics and go, well, we're not amassing the listeners now that we were hoping to? Is that going to be your driving tactic? Is it going to be, are we still having fun? Yes. Part of, for me internally, when I think about it, Mac, and I, in talking to you the other day, made me think about this. I'm going to use Haas as an example. Haas is out there, as he would probably tell you, living his best life, lives in another country. He's traveling. He's seeing places. He's doing the things now that he wanted to do back in 2020, but COVID happened. So part of me internally goes, I feel like a heel if I'm asking him to devote time to this during those times when he can be out doing those things. Same thing with you. Same thing with you. No, of course, because you're like, Haas
I
can
don't
just
have a
deal.
problem with that either, actually.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not answering to her, so I'm good
But,
with it.
but again,
But I do
that's
have
your
to.
problem.
You're
But
right,
that-
it is. I
but
accept
that
it.
is a factor we all had to account for, because none of us are single. None of us are without children and animals and responsibilities and jobs. So, I mean, those were all factors we had to consider when starting this.
Well, and it was different when we started this because just like us, they were all locked down.
You couldn't go anywhere.
You know, life was not going anywhere,
Right.
you know, so it wasn't a big deal. Obviously, to your point, you know, things have opened up, people getting out, doing more stuff. I don't know the answer to your question. That's why I think we're having this discussion.
It is.
Well, I you know, it's funny. I still think about it as the band that's trying to break through, but they're kind of plateaued, right? And then it's like, so what do? Do you change things up? Does somebody leave and somebody else comes in and they're the catalyst that just changes the dynamic because of whatever reason, skill set, energy, etc. Or, you know, the other way is like you start getting more gimmicky, the infamous jumping the shark. You get stupider and stupider and attempt to stand out and do something different. I mean, to me, it's fun and enjoyable when we have good topics that come. When we got to like really shake the tree, sometimes it's a little bit more work.
Right.
And, you know, it just so happens like we had a really good string of topics that came through, you know, and I was joking with the missus this week of like, you know, and I think we even talked about it. So who the fuck wants to talk about the debt ceiling, you know,
Right.
and shit like that. It's
Oh,
like,
let's talk about
just
Dick
depressing.
Santis yet again. And it's just
Yeah.
like, there are things we absolutely can talk about, things that are relevant. But I think the four of us look at each other and go, do we really want to? Do we want to talk about that shit? Do I want to discuss Dick Santos making his candidate bid for president? No, not really.
Well, and, you know, and going back to when we started, the concept was the organic conversations that come from when we would be sitting around drinking. And I think that that's still by and large the way this goes. Every now and then, yeah, there's some like research, you know, that helps because you want to have some at least basic facts or understanding of the topic to be able to not sound like a complete ninny.
Right. And I
at least
think
2 to 3 of us feel that way.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
I think at least with 180 episodes, we've all, me included, as much as I enjoy this, we can all look back and go, there were episodes I was not tied to, wasn't really, I was just plowing through it to get it done. You know, and some of us or all of us, maybe it's all the same episodes because I know that's happened. And I know I asked the question, I thought he was leaving. I know I asked the question, does everybody still want to be here? And I've done that time and time again. And I think by and large, the answer has always been yes.
But I think you're asking the wrong question, right? Because if you ask the question, does everybody want to be here? I would hope around the room, the answer is yes, we still want to be here hanging out.
Right.
The bigger question is, does everybody still want to put in the work week in and week out of trying to make sure we show up, put in the research, you know, do the editing, you know, all of that stuff that comes with having a podcast? Or does it become, you know, let's find another way to, you know,
Get
virtually
together.
get together. That's
We tried that, but you won't game
somebody
with us.
somebody figuring out how to download, Call of Duty.
I will come up and I will do that for you. We'll make sure it gets downloaded on your fucking console.
But we're
There you
switching
go.
we're switching to Diablo, which actually is
Damn it, I
probably
just finished downloading today.
well. I think Diablo is more your speed, though. By the way,
Oh, okay. All right.
dungeon
jet
crawlers,
skis.
you just run around.
No
killing
helicopters though. No
That's okay
boats.
though.
No
things, occasionally running for
ATVs.
your life. Yep.
So Diablo. Okay, I'll look at that one. See if I
Diablo
can download that
5.
Four.
one. Diablo 5.
Oh, 4. Is it 4?
4.
4.
Okay,
Yeah.
4.
Is it as good as John Wick 4?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, good.
Will it be as good as John
Well,
Wick 5?
I mean, it doesn't have to be that good to be better than
The
John Wick 4.
4. All right, so let's stay on
See,
topic here.
I'm
Yes.
lowering expectations, so it's nothing but goodness when he comes on board. He'll
That's
be
how
like,
it works.
I was expecting shit. This is so
Yeah,
much fun.
this is awesome.
It's literally a rung above, and that's good. And so, in terms of doing this format, is this something that continues to be a viable option for us? And I know, Mac, you're going to make the argument because you did on the phone when yes, none of us are editing. None of us are tracking that shit and dealing with that shit and, making sure the stuff is right and getting it posted. And I'll admit, part of it for me is I also have other factors. Hosh, you're out there doing your thing. Grinch and Mac, you're doing your thing. You all have kids or you're going away. You're going to concerts. Mac, you're going down to the beach. Admittedly,
Somebody's
I've gone
remodeling their entire household.
But I'm saying outside of that and coming to see you guys last year, I've done nothing for 3 years. I haven't gone anywhere.
Chop chop.
Well, no, and
What I
Well,
heard
I mean,
is
and the
somebody's
truth of
coming
the
up to
matter
North Carolina
is-
next week.
Is if you were to go somewhere, the three of us could do a raw, uncut
posting.
episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it wasn't about that for me. It wasn't, yes, I think I told myself I'm never missing an episode. And it almost became comical when you guys, hey, I'm stepping away this week or I'm stepping away that week. And then I'm like, I'm the only one that hasn't missed an episode. And you guys are like, fuck you. But by and large, it's because, the wife's schedule and her work and the things that we're dealing with remodeling that, we just haven't stepped away. And yes, there are mitigating factors for me in terms of I want this house done. I want to be able to relocate sooner rather than later, and I don't want to keep pushing it off. And at the end of the day, the part of this show that requires my attention outside of getting together and hanging out with you guys, because this is the best part. Yes, there is a labor to getting done with this and then re-listening to it and editing it and re-listening to it again to make sure I didn't miss anything and then getting it posted. Aren't things that bother me because I enjoy what I do. I enjoy that aspect. But at the end of the day, you go, is there a point at which it reaches its apex and you should step away, or will we even know? And I don't know. And the research that I was looking at, there's no kind of defining factor. It's like, oh, when you lose your passion, oh, when your format has run its course and you can't take the story any farther, depending on what your format is. Like, that's not our format. Our format is at least fluid enough. We can bring any topic to the table. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you say story, and I'm going to use slightly different wording to tie into that idea, which is, have you said all there is to say?
Right.
And that's, I realize that's kind of a nuanced difference between telling a story, because we didn't set out with anything specific to get to. The topics would come to us, and by our own nature and personalities, the discussion would flow. Well, that's
right.
Because that's what we always enjoyed when we got together. Like
right.
Going back to like season 1, it's like, how many would have thought, like, in the span of one evening, we'd talk about insurance, like healthcare, football, and whatever the hell else came up. Yeah, right. Home maintenance and
right.
adult things / hobby things / national interest things.
Right.
And since we aren't a podcast that picks, like, there's 500 serial criminal or serial killer ones and crime ones that
right.
basically they just tell you the story, right? So as long as you can keep finding those and you got a good team, you can spin it. And I think of, again, Dan Cummings, his podcast is always entertaining for me because he unto himself is hilarious. And he is built upon riffs and characters over years that he still folds back into episodes, and strong merchandise line, strong Facebook it's kind of a totality of entertainment going on there. And then there's probably thousands of podcasts I have never heard of that I just literally know nothing about because everybody and their brother has one, right? And maybe you try to find a niche, or maybe you just like us, we're a little more generalist of we all always said like we're not going to get Joe Rogan's guests.
Right.
But I think we tried to get genuinely good guests related to the topics, and thankfully we've had some excellent ones.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that I have thoroughly enjoyed.
Agreed. And I've learned and grown because of this podcast.
And maybe that's what we need to try and do to respark that, I mean, for lack of a better term, respark that passion, right? I think we've all enjoyed having those episodes where we had guests on and learned something new.
I think for me, it's not a lack of passion. That me posing this question isn't because I have lost a passion for doing this. I think I've watched the trend over the last 2.5, almost 3 years, and admittedly, COVID had control at the beginning in terms of what you could and could not do, right? And I think as things have opened up and you guys have started to go off and live your lives again, as you absolutely should, I think I began to question, like, am I trying to tie you guys to something that becomes problematic?
Yes, please tie us up.
Well,
I'm okay with that.
Well,
and honestly, the reason I wanted to have this conversation openly here in a recording for our listeners is that I wanted them to understand my thought process. And I didn't want to clue you guys in ahead of time. Mac, us having this conversation, you had no idea this was
I
coming.
had no idea this was coming. Yeah.
So you couldn't prepare for it. And I wanted to know off the cuff, just getting hit with it like a glass of cold water, what was y'all's response going to be? And I told Mac, if everybody was like, dude, I'm done. I want to have my Sundays to go do my thing, I will not be offended. After 30 plus years, please understand, I would not be offended if that was the case. If you look at me and say, we want to keep doing it, super excited with that too. I just want to make sure. And we've always only ever had this conversation offline. Like, the listeners don't know these things have occurred over the last almost 3 years that we've had this conversation. And so it's just, for me, it is a matter of going, is everybody, do they still want to do it? Do those extenuating factors like the wives, the kids, the jobs, and things like that, how do those now factor in? Because we're not all locked down. And so when you're answering to your wife who wants to go do something, you're like, nope, I'm sorry, I got to devote an hour and a half to this. And it's like, excuse me? And it's like, right? Because they go, well, you're not getting paid. But then you go, yeah, but I'm also not getting paid to go downtown and, go to the beach either. So where's really the argument there?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Go ahead,
Rich. I was going to say real quick, in all fairness, I mean, my wife understands the value of our brotherhood, and she respects that. So I don't get grief for this.
Yeah,
ever.
and I don't think,
Ever.
Thor, I don't think that's by any stretch of the imagination what you're trying to
Obviously,
No.
when we go away on planned holidays, where, like, for example, we don't see each other a lot during the week because she works so much and I work so much, so that, like, when we actually get time to be together, we work really hard to be together.
And you should.
And that's right. And so, like, when we go away, that's one of those things. So
do you want to do the things that Mrs. Haas has to do to Mr. Haas? I don't think so.
I mean, my Friday nights are not his Friday nights. My journey is not his journey.
I'm not sure you can do the things to me that Mrs. Haas does, let alone want to.
Oh man,
I felt like we were
in there.
packing for a vacation.
Yeah.
Like a massage table, just
something's
facing that hole.
When we start packing for this trip earlier today, and she's like, "Hey, bring toys 1, 3, and 8." Like,
And you
like,
just immediately know what those are.
She's like,
absolutely.
She's like, Haas, I can't find my passport. Got it.
Yeah, naturally. I mean, it might have been squirted all over, but I got it.
It's all good.
To speak to the question, I do think there's something to be said when you never have a pause. It doesn't kind of give you a chance to step away for a little bit and see if you miss it, whatever. And I know that's not the case for you. But you certainly see with certain shows, like there's a season and then they have a lot of downtime because they're going to pack everything into that season. And that wasn't our approach, but I think of like a John Oliver, of like, they're going to be hard hitting for X number of episodes, with people waiting for it, kind of thing. So in terms of sustaining energy over time, it can become a little harder if those juicy topics don't fall into your lap.
Yeah.
because then we are,
Fair
like I said,
point.
we're shaking the tree, and then it becomes a little bit more like work. And truth be told, if it were an episode like that, and you said, well, would you rather be online playing with the fellas right now or doing this and talking? I'd be like, let's
Well,
get online, you know?
Grinch Mac, I've said this to Thor before. One of the problems that gets to me sometimes with this is that when we have 4 or 5 weeks in a row of very serious topics, I get a little depressed.
Sure, I get
Like the
that.
shit gets sad. Like, I mean, it's hard talking about, like, and not that not that we've covered this topic, but we could have, the war in Ukraine and then the Russian aggression towards them. I mean, like these are serious things, right? Like, I mean, things that really shape the world and could be a problem. The thing I sent out the other day with AI, and you got these high industry experts talking about how AI could be the end of mankind. Like, I mean, it gets tough week in and week out sometimes researching this stuff and talking about it in depth, and having to think about it and mull it over. So I don't know about you guys, but I mean that's something I've shared with Thor before. I was like, hey, I'm good with us doing this, but sprinkling in fun topics, yeah, yes, please.
It's a must.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need that.
I agree. I agree. I mean, certainly it's far more entertaining, and I think we had a ton of fun when I think about like the one hit wonder episode. Because
you.
Well, that was great. It was
And your
great.
one hit wonder.
because some great stuff came out of that, and then we all knew Sir Mix-a-Lot was coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Had to.
And the
But-
argument. Yeah.
But again, when you look at the download trends, Haas, unfortunately, those heavy topics, they're the ones that tend to do really well.
I know. I
Which
get
tells me
that.
nobody cares about us.
Well, it's
And
not
what
that. It's
we-
not
what-
that the one hit wonders doesn't do well. Like you look at the one hit wonder trend, the first week it only got 9 downloads. Like the one we did about my wife's brother, the
Right.
epidemic one, combating the epidemic, it was like 86 downloads the first week. One hit wonders got 9. And so there you now again, I know I released them that schedule. I released 3 episodes back to back to back. And so you go, oh, well, maybe it just got lost in the shuffle. But then you look at the later weeks, it starts to pick up traction. But that's when you go, well, did it not resonate with anybody when it got released? Because it clearly didn't make the impact the epidemic one did, the drug epidemic.
Right.
Well, because I think I believe that what we offer when we talk about serious matters or when we have guests, whether it's serious matters or not, is we bring a certain gravitas to a subject matter, right? When it's fun, I think is just that, it's fun, like, and it's filler. And while it might provide insight for us as individuals or people who know us personally, for the average person, I mean, maybe they just don't care. I don't know, but
Well,
Hey,
I know-
quick.
I know I
Yeah.
enjoy getting to know you guys on that level, because after 30 plus years of friendship and brotherhood, it's cool to still discover something new about you guys.
Yeah, that Max into, concealed carry shovels. I would have
That's
never
right.
guessed.
Exactly.
Look, that's
Gardener
not
by
easy to
trade.
do. Conceal carry a
And
shovel.
he actually
Okay.
believes Sir Mix-a-Lot had more than one hit.
He did. Thank you very much.
Mac, you
Bro.
were going to say something before we get derailed here. What was
God, I
it?
want to hug you so hard right now.
Just put him on the glass for me.
Yeah, what were you going to say? Because you started to say something.
Fuck you. Some things never change. So how often? So I know we've obviously as part of this discussion we've shut down the website, right?
Yep.
That does not exist anymore. Obviously, I think our email still exists, right?
The email does.
Do we get a lot of communication from people? Right, saying, hey, I really enjoyed this episode. I know we've gotten some.
Yeah, we've gotten
But, you
some,
know.
and it trickles in. It goes through ebbs and flows. Like we'll go for a while with nothing, and then somebody will drop a line.
I would ask this question again, and I'm just trying to tease out information here, right? Obviously, I know we've gotten some emails from people that we know.
Yes.
Obviously, we know those episodes would have resonated. I mean, have we gotten anything from people like you're like, I have no idea who this person is, but I'm glad they emailed us. I'm just trying to figure out, because again, I know we're not doing this for the listeners, but if we're not doing it for the listeners, I think there's other ways that the 4 of us can get together virtually, that maybe require a little less work. So I mean, I do think that has to play a factor in the decision if you're going to make that decision.
Well, and to that point, Mac, I mean, I think if we're going to be looking at metrics as a touch point to decide whether or not we're going forward, then it's kind of disingenuous to say we're not doing it for anybody else, but we do care about the numbers. And
It's contradictory.
Yeah, right. I mean, but where I'm going with that is, if we're genuine to the thing that is the part of we're not doing it for the numbers, but we feel like in terms of how we're conversing, now we can evolve or do something different, then that's what we do.
Well, and that's my point, right? Is the numbers become I think you said it right. It's a touch point. This is not anywhere near close to the decision making aspect of it. But I think it has to play a factor into it because again, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into this. That, if we're just looking, for a reason to get together for whatever reason, let's do a live stream of John Wick 4, every week. Right.
Just John Wick
every
4
week.
week in and week out.
Right.
Haas is like, I will be traveling every weekend.
Every weekend.
Funnily enough, I can make that happen.
So and that's why I mentioned the metrics, right? By no stretch of the imagination, or well, the metrics are this, so we should stop doing it. No, not at all. But I mean, I do think they play a factor in it.
And at the beginning of this, we said out of the gate we weren't going to let that be a defining factor for whether or not we did this. And I'll admit,
but
for my own peace of mind, I track them because I'm like, well, how are we doing? But I don't watch them and go, fuck, nobody's listening for a day.
If nobody's listening, then why are you putting all the work into editing the episodes? So I mean, that's why
because people are listening. You don't get to 20,000 downloads with no one listening.
Right, but I'm just saying,
that's not nothing.
It's a small number.
Right, but I think
you said Joe Rogan's got 50,000 downloads per episode.
Yeah,
but I think
what you said, right? So
I think that's the whole reason you brought this up, but I think that's the inflection point we're at. Is if you know what people tend to gravitate towards and will pull, then if we were advising ourselves, we'd be like, then that's what you keep doing.
Right.
And then you try to keep doing it better. But if we're going to adhere to our belief that we never wanted this to become work, catering to a certain swath of listeners, well, then we kind of have our other answer of like, here we are. We've sort of talked out the topics that are of interest to us right now. You take a pause. I mean, there's nothing lost taking a pause, right?
Right.
I mean,
that's a great point. Or you switch to like a monthly format, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, now we know typically that's the beginning of the end, right? I mean, if you do pause because it's really hard to regain
that
momentum,
becomes the concern.
You lose listeners because they're like, it's not consistent anymore, kind of thing. I mean, all that to say, I show up because I enjoy it and I really enjoy the good topics, but I primarily show up out of respect for the group and the concept. Like I said, truth be told, in some cases, in some episodes, if it was like, hey, we could all hop online right now and play golf or whatever, I'd rather do that.
Okay. And see, that's good to know. And those are the types of things that I want to know in the future. But I guess to go back to your question about listeners, if I can remember how I wanted to frame this. Haas, you say what you were going to say, because I want to make sure I say this the way I wanted to.
Well, I kind of fall in line with what Grinch said. I was just going to kind of reiterate that. Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously I show up as, obviously right now it's a little different because of my situation.
No, you don't.
No, I don't show up now.
I try to show up as often as I can.
Sure.
I
and be
appreciate
here
that.
on a regular basis because I do.
The point is, we don't want you to feel obligated to show up either.
It's not an obligation. It's not
that.
that.
But you know what? But you understand what I'm saying.
I enjoy hanging out with you guys. I have enjoyed this journey so much. I'll never be able to properly explain how much this has meant to me over the last week.
I got time, bro. You go ahead and get started. No, I'm just kidding.
We never did see Asshole Chat.
I mean,
that's
what I'm talking about.
That would have shown us.
Hey,
yeah.
Yet. You haven't seen Assless
Oh,
Chat.
This was what, 2 years ago, I think we
going.
started this joke.
Dude.
No, I guess what
It's
I want to say.
called foreplay, motherfucker.
How long does your
You know,
foreplay
come
last,
on,
bro?
get with the
God
program.
damn.
You want to come over? You need to come over some Friday nights. We got some things we need.
I got
to
blue eyes at this point.
Yeah,
Just waiting for it.
There's a
Yeah.
skeleton in this chair.
Look, between us and the four walls last night, foreplay lasted about 27 seconds. So I'm just saying, how long does it last for you?
Good for you.
Well, bro, I mean, my kegels last longer than that.
No, okay. Look, what I wanted to say was when we're talking about listeners and kind of trying to find a way to spike listenership, or if analytics were the driving tool, Grinch, because of what you said, and pairing off of what Haas's concern was, we could do drug epidemics and abortion and the Supreme Court and all of the fucking hard ass topics week in and week out, because that would drive our listenership. But Haas, you'd be fucking miserable. There would
Not
be no
miserable. Not
no, I'm
miserable.
saying there would be
just-
no lighthearted topics, right?
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't be the format.
Well,
266
I
for what
mean, I
people are
think
wanting. And I don't
think
want that.
it'd be nice to have. I mean, there are things we could discuss, debates we could have within pop culture, you know, which wouldn't be nearly as, you know, doom and gloom, I think.
Right.
You
But
know?
I'm saying if we let
like, does there really need to be another Avatar movie or
Oh.
another John Wick movie? And then we
Yes.
can have some experts on to also help us, you know,
Well,
carry
we've
on
already
that.
had the discussion of John Wick 4, and we had Grinch, an expert, on, and he said, yes, there should be another John Wick.
Well, yeah,
4.
he's an expert, but not
Is
in
it
movies.
profitable? Then make another, motherfucker. Avatar 17? Yes.
No, they shouldn't even have made the first Avatar. But that's
Thank
just,
you.
you know,
Thank
neither
you.
here nor there.
Police Academy 13? Yes.
let's do it.
Roll Bobcat Goldflake out of
Gold Flake.
Goldflake, whatever
Bobcat
his name
Goldflake.
is.
Which is really funny because the other day we asked a guy to meet us, and he said he thought we were sending him to like the Blue Oyster Club or whatever it was.
Nice.
It's
Nice.
like I'm not doing
That's
that.
Because he got there first and we weren't there, and he was just like,
Where
Where
the
am I
fuck
at?
Was that
Yeah.
really the reference? Was that really the reference that he
Yes.
used?
Yeah,
that's great.
Outstanding. Out freaking standing.
I was very impressed actually.
At the end of the day, obviously, chief concern is, do we still want to do it? And I think now, as it has been, the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the concern becomes, is every episode gold? No. And is it possible to do something different?
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, I believe in evolution. I believe we should always
Ghost-
look and be better versions of ourselves.
Ghost Pepper Challenge.
okay,
I'm just
so then,
putting it out there for
well, and
Grinch.
again, Mac and I talked about this. Grinch, you've sent out the hot ones multiple times. And we thought,
Mhm.
what is it? It's
That
on
was so
Amazon. You can
stupid.
buy like a 5-pack of hot sauces.
Okay.
You can get the whole 10-pack.
Well, you
From-
can.
Yeah, but
I'm
it's
just
like
not
$100
spending.
bucks.
I'm not spending the $139 for it.
The problem
Here's-
is,
well,
I think an
here's what I would say.
episode like that has
We
to be
have to
done
it has
in
to be
person.
video.
in person.
In
right? And there
person
has to-
or
via
You-
video.
well, you could do video. That's true. You could do video.
We can do a
from
we can do a
Zoom.
video
On-
of this.
On a quick side note, we are about to book our tickets back. We will be, I think, tentatively coming back late October
Too late November.
to late November. Yeah, the dates I think we settled on were October 24th to November 28th is when we're
So
coming back.
should we like rent out a facility and try and do a live show and invite people to come see us live?
I mean,
No,
I'm not diametrically opposed to that. I mean, you know,
It doesn't have to be a big.
at bare minimum, we
facility,
got
right?
friends and family come laugh at us. You know,
So, anyway,
or at least have friends and family there to take care of us when we're all dying food poisoning or.
Well,
you
no,
know,
but what
pepper
you know what
poisoning.
Mac and I were talking about was like doing an episode like that, and it was from Grinch sending out the hot ones and Mac talking about doing this Reaper challenge, Ghost
No,
Pepper,
Ghost
fucking
Pepper, yeah.
Ghost Pepper challenge. And it was like, okay, so then
the
you
one
have
chip
a
challenge.
you have a set of questions that you have to answer, debate, discuss, whatever. And before each question, right, it's increasing severity of hot sauces on a wing, and you know it's a dab. You take a bite, and then you talk, and then you move on to the next one. Is that something in terms of? I mean, Grinch, I'm looking at you, and you're like, that's like eating bugs of the sea. No thanks.
I literally
I
watched.
see sweat beading on his forehead just
Right
thinking
now.
about it.
I watched Julie is it Julia
Dreyfus.
Louis Dreyfus's episode last
I
night,
haven't seen that one yet.
and she tells her publicist that she's fired.
Yeah.
for the episode.
Don't ever put me on this shit.
I need to go back and watch that one and Sudeikis. I haven't seen either one of those yet. I think
Sudeikis
tonight will be the night.
actually did really well.
Yes.
But yeah, it's pure pain. Pure pain.
So then you go, okay, we stick with our format, but then then you get into that. I don't know which one of you said it, Haas or Grinch, was like almost the gimmicky. Oh, it was Grinch. Jump the shark. Like you're doing things. Are those necessary things to be doing?
I don't think you do them every week, right?
No,
obviously, right?
absolutely not.
Because
Thor,
you throw them into some of those, one-off episodes.
And we've talked about this in the past. We have like 5 or 6 arrows in the quiver.
Right now?
Yeah. I mean, we have different, formats of episodes that we present.
Yes.
And I think the point of this is let's look at the arrows and determine which arrows are working, which ones aren't. Maybe some ones we can add, some we can remove, some we can keep.
Yeah, but again, when you talk about that, if we go back to season 1, like our kind of trifecta was we have a heavy topic, we have a funny topic, and we have our pick 3 topic. Mm-hmm. And those were the 3 we rotated through. We always had like a kind of a heavy one, and then we did a lighthearted music concert, or not necessarily that, but the what's the one we did? The presidential debate one where we just threw out questions and answered them. And then we had the pick'ems, and it was your top 3 concerts, your top 3 movies, your top 3 shows, whatever. And that was our format season 1. I've had people say, oh, why don't you bring bingo back? We liked bingo that we started in season 2. You don't remember bingo? I made the
vaguely
cards.
Remember bingo now that you mentioned that.
And every time we'd said or did something and somebody called it out. Yeah. And you were trying to get
ironically,
bingo.
we've really tapered off on some of those words we used over and over and over again.
Gimmick it. Yes, we have.
Yes. I've tried to say Venn diagram again.
You have. And it's funny every time you force it into a conversation. But
it's like self-licking ice cream.
Yes. Which, again, before this show, I had never fucking heard of that.
So tasty.
I guess for me, at the end of the day, I'm looking at the situation. Sorry, did you need a bounce for something?
I was just going to get a hair tie, honestly.
Oh
yeah, go for it.
Go. Yeah, I'll wait. I ain't going to forget.
It's not Mac.
What?
I love you. Oh my God. Dude, seriously. I don't have any clean undies. Yes, I'm having clean undies right now.
He's talking to me. He's talking to me.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking to both of you.
Oh, sorry. Haas, you answer first. No clean undies, and yes, the jizz is good.
that looks kind of like that looks kind of like Haas's undies.
He rang out his undies.
Yes. If you thought about if you put a little simple some egg white simple syrup in there to shake it to give it a foam.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm buying that.
I don't know, because it make it more jizzy.
Oh, okay. You're like, I don't know.
Is that a word?
Maybe.
I mean, it would make it a little bit sweeter, obviously, right?
I know it's a proper name, DJ Jizzy Jeff.
Yes.
The Fresh Prince.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and see, and that's why I enjoy doing this with you guys, because of things like this. But it is a genuine conversation. It is a genuine question I had. Like I said, I did ask Mac, and
I didn't really have an answer, right? Other than, look, if you guys keep showing up, I'm not going to be the guy to bounce.
Well, and that's my thing. I realize I haven't been as present lately, and you
shouldn't have been. You have the ability in your life right now.
Yes.
You have the ability that all of us are, quite frankly, jealous of. And you should be taking advantage of it because
and I'm trying.
And you should.
I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. I don't want to resent this someday. And the truth is the reason why we're having to is because Cass's visas runs out at the end of this year, and we don't know how long that's going to take to get course corrected. So we don't know what next year.
Based on yours, it'll take a while.
So then, can
I ask a question set aside from this particular debate?
Yeah.
Would it behoove us to shift our day? If the weekends, if the weather's nice and you guys are going to go out or you're going to be traveling, would it? I can go any night. Like if it's a Tuesday, I don't give a fuck. I can get on it. Fucking.
That's 3 in the morning for Haas.
No, I don't mean Tuesday night at like 8 o'clock.
Well, I mean, it warrants a discussion because here's what I know. I know there's 4 of us, and I know that the reason we do this time is primarily because of my time
Got
because of
ready,
what time
dude.
it is.
Constraints.
And that's not fair. So like if it was one of those where it's
Doesn't
like
matter
you
to
guys
me.
were like, we want to do 6 p.m. on Tuesdays, I'd find a way to stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning.
No,
and
no, no.
I would do it.
No.
100%.
I mean, obviously, if you go, oh, okay, well, let's do Tuesday. And if we're being conscious of your timetable and we go, can we do 4 in the afternoon? Well, Grinch can't guarantee being home from work at 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Right. I know I can. Mac,
Sometimes I have calls, sometimes I don't. So you know.
Uh-oh.
Okay, sorry. I bumped my hand.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, how do you find that right time? And again, maybe that's the little thing in terms of going, let's shake it up. Let's shift our day. Let's go to a different day. Let's go to a different time. Does that shift us in terms
I would
of the
ask you the
mentality
question,
and
is the
approach?
time the problem, or is it, the topics, right? I don't know that we've really answered that question yet.
Is it a combination?
Yeah.
Look, and before you guys jumped on, Haas and I were on, and he's like, I'm not focused. The weather here is beautiful. If the weather's beautiful and you have an opportunity to take advantage of that on a Sunday, I feel like a douchebag going, well, you got to be here at 1 o'clock. And that's me. And Haas has never said that about me, but that's
nor
me.
do I feel that way.
No, and that's what I'm saying.
I don't feel that way at all. Like
that's why
I went and met my buddy for Curry. We went and watched the F1 race together. We threw some darts, and I was like, all right, bro, I got to bounce. I guess the podcast. I got to go home. And it's cool. I mean, people know this is important to me. This is a priority to me.
But again, if there was a way to shift it so that it's not impeding on people's ability, because again, Mac, you work a Monday through Friday. If you're going to go to the beach, you go down on the weekend, or you'll go see your kid, or Grinch, same way. If you guys are going somewhere, it's generally going to be the weekend. And so it's like, is shifting to a different day better for everybody?
Thursday nights at 6 p.m. because that'd be midnight for me. And
that seems very random.
And I could.
It's not.
It's not. No, I thought about this quickly. Actually, it's not Friday night, so it doesn't impede on your Friday night or your weekend, right?
Or
so
your Friday night,
right? Damn right, bro. And you don't even know. We got some new lubes. Anyway, I digress. Coconut cream. Thursday night's kind of perfect, right? It's the end of the week. I kind of like it. You usually aren't fucking around on Fridays too much, right? Like Fridays is you're winding down. All of us are in professions where that's generally the situation, right? Like,
right.
I don't feel a bunch of work on Friday.
And so quite frankly, if you get plastered at 6 p.m., you ain't got to go anywhere typically.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Not like on a Sunday afternoon, it's like, well, I might still have to go do something Sunday night. So, I can only get slightly plastered, not fully plastered.
And my thing was, if I have to stay up till 2 or 3 to Friday morning, it's not going to fuck my Friday completely, which is fine.
I mean, I will say, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the 1 p.m. on Sunday. Now, come liquor and leagues, obviously we're gonna have that would be something. Which
I'm glad you brought that up.
We'd have to squeeze that in.
By the way, I'm glad you brought that up because earlier I was thinking, well, if we don't keep doing this, we're still gonna do.
You want to keep doing that.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, we have to, right? Like, we have to.
We're doing liquor and leagues, and we're doing fantasy football again.
Well,
I'm down with doing fantasy football again too.
But honestly,
it's happening. Just get on board.
It's not horrible for liquor and leagues because you're actually closer to knowing what the games will be like that Saturday because of injuries and so forth.
But during non-football season, maybe move to Thursday nights.
Well, I think what Grinch was saying, even during football season, you could do Thursday nights.
Yeah, okay.
We would just
for liquor and leagues.
I misunderstood.
We just have to. I think if we pivot to Thursday at 6, we have to be very conscious of the time we spend. Right.
Yes.
Because of Haas, right? I don't want to go into.
No, bro, if we go to 1:30 in the morning, bro, how many nights?
The upside
do I game with them until 1 or 2?
No, well, the upside.
So I'm just saying
he does work for an American company, so his day starts later.
Yeah, right. Generally, and here's the thing too. Fridays, I kind of fuck up on Fridays, and I was just having this conversation with Cass earlier. I've been trying to be in the gym no less than 4 days a week. And I have to start being more vigilant about that. But Fridays come around, and if the weather's nice, bro, I'm in the beer garden. I'm drinking and I'm reading my book, and I don't care. Like I'm really, and I have enough PTO time where I could take every Friday off now till the end of the year, and it wouldn't be a problem.
I like the Thursday proposal because I'm with you. Like
Yeah, I think it's worth a shot.
I'm not quite in the mode at 1 on a Sunday of like just letting it cut loose, having fun, getting a little silly.
Oh, I want to see
'Cause
Silly Grinch.
I do
I
too.
want to see that.
I heard
I've
so
seen
many
it.
good things
I've
about
heard
it.
rumors and I've seen glimpses of it.
I've gamed with Grinch at 10 o'clock at night.
Mm.
We should
Is it good
record at 10
times?
o'clock at night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I tell stories of how Grinch gets when we game because
When we're
it's just
gaming?
it's so
Well,
enjoyable.
we got
It's just so
fucked
enjoyable.
today. We got straight butt raped today, and
Yeah.
it pissed me off.
Were you wearing
We were
Isis
doing
chaps to make
so
it easier?
good.
Oh yeah, we had a couple of good runs, man. It was solid, and then we got shit on at the end. Much like you and I, Haas, on Wednesday,
Oh, that was not fun.
and
That was
Grinch and
not-
I the day before on Tuesday. But yeah,
But we did good. We did well on Thursday.
Yeah, and then today we completed 2 missions, and we
Thursday
are
or
way the
Friday?
fuck off topic.
Yeah.
Just one of the days, and then
Alright,
had that
All right,
run
so
today.
Thursday.
One
And
of
we
the
can do
days
that.
that
Let's-
why?
So, do we want to try Thursday 6 p.m. this week? Does that work for you this week, Haas? When do you
No,
leave?
this week. No.
Yeah, because you're leaving.
We leave Wednesday morning for 5 days in Milan.
So you'll be back the following Thursday.
But to that
But
point,
we can
Haas,
still
I
meet
can't
on
remember.
Thursday.
Following
Honestly,
Thursday will work.
yeah, I was going to
Okay.
say, honestly, it kind of gives us a little latitude, wiggle room. Like on the weeks that if you couldn't make it, we're not like,
Yeah, we can go 7 o'clock.
hey, I'm running late. Can
Right.
we bump 30 minutes or whatever? And it's
Right.
not a huge deal because
Right.
now it's more about settling into the evening and chilling and whatever. So
And I guess full disclosure for me, and even though I guess it doesn't really matter because the wife's fucking working now because she works 7 fucking days a week, is obviously she's going to be working on Thursday nights. I would just be in here recording. It wouldn't affect our time together, so that's fine.
Yeah, so
'Cause-
maybe that would be. I think. Now here's the hitch in the giddy up. When we want to have guests on.
Well,
Yeah.
then we can pivot when we need to, right?
Well,
I mean,
and again, I don't think we've had issues in
I
terms
think that's
of
the
having
answer
guests.
necessary. Yeah.
but we may find it's easier. honestly.
Right? Then
Maybe,
you're like
yeah,
6
you're
o'clock.
they
right.
might be
Thursday.
more likely to, you
Yeah.
know, well, it's
Get
already
on
my
us.
work week anyway. So, I'm not carving time out of my weekend to join you guys.
Well, and that's why I think too, if we kind of tighten our shot group a little bit of projecting out ahead of time, coordinating, and let's have something in the back pocket in case that person falls through,
We can
then we
pivot.
have a little more latitude to pivot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do that, and maybe that's what it is in terms of. I'm not even sure it's like a shakeup because I don't think what we're doing is an issue.
I'm
not looking
bored.
at it. No,
I'm
not
bored
with it.
Of all the things I am, I'm not bored.
And again, we have had some phenomenal episodes, and I am sorry that both of you missed the one with Jason and Rob.
I am
That was
too.
a really
Actually,
good
I am
I've
episode.
too.
listened to it. I've
because
listened to
I
it
really
twice
liked
now,
it. I really
actually.
like Jason.
I
Well,
listened to it again yesterday.
if you guys I can't remember who knows this, but I went to Thursday, I went to Blues Night at our local. It's free. You can go in. Bands just come in, jam. I ran into Rob Dufresne and Chelsea from the project.
This was this
So-
past Thursday, right?
Yes.
Yes, I knew
yeah,
that because you and I were gaming and you left to go.
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah. So that was really cool running into them. This can get edited out. Unbeknownst to me, one of the people who was there with us that night, her ex-husband's like best friend had committed suicide like the day before.
Oh my God.
Oh fuck.
So
me.
I'm introducing them, telling them the project they're working on, completely oblivious
To what's
to
happened
this.
there.
And so the next day, the guy that invited her was like, "You're not going to believe this." But later that evening, she told me this, and I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like, seriously, God dang,
Yeah.
man.
It's just so tragic
Well, supposedly the
and
story is
unnecessary.
the dude FaceTimed his wife while he walked out into a field and hung himself.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like she bared witness. I mean, you don't come back from that in terms like if you're the spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You try and find people who can maybe relate. We talked about,
Hmm.
Anywho, sorry.
Yeah. Good
Oh,
job.
no,
there,
I
Rich.
mean, no, it's
All right, let's go ahead and crack
It's
wise on
important
that
stuff,
one. Let's make a
though,
joke.
right?
It is
Yeah.
important. Because one of the things
I-
I think about not doing this anymore is I know because I've had people reach out to me and say, "Hey, this episode helped me through this thing, or this episode taught me this thing, or this episode provided this thing for me. And so I kind of feel somewhat duty bound to people who really seem to get something from what we're doing.
Well, and that was my point, kind of to the metrics.
Because we all have kids that don't listen to us, and we do have a collective wisdom amongst us.
I had an argument with my kids just today about it.
Apologize.
They're like, "What's your episode about?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing this anymore with you. I'm not telling you the topic. You want to know? Go fucking listen." Oh, but we're interested in what you're interested in. No, you're not. Because if you were, you'd go fucking listen instead of asking me. So I'm not going to tell you the topic. And they're just looking at me, and I'm like, "No, I'm not doing it.
Get off my lawn."
Yes. I'm like, if you're truly interested, go fucking listen. Then we can have a fucking discourse about it.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. I don't need to fucking have this conversation. Sorry, Mac, what were you going to say about the analytics?
Yeah, that was my bad, bro.
That's okay.
No, I think that was, I think I said what I said.
Yes, you did say what you said.
It was just that, I mean, that's where the analytics play into it somewhat, where Haas was talking about, people have reached out to him, that, like I say, it's not why we're doing it, but it certainly is, a reason to keep doing it. Yes. I think
we said it in season 1, and again, going back and listening to some of those episodes, and it's one of the things that I said in the outros of every episode. Listen if you want. If you don't, we don't care. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. I didn't exactly say it that way, but it's like, we're doing this because we want to. We love that you listen if you want, but if you don't, that's fine. It's not going to stop us from doing what we're doing. The analytics have never been the driving factor for me. Yes. Have I looked at them and go, man, I wish we had more. And maybe that's in the back of my mind. It's that wishful fantasizing going, man, if we had 5,000 downloads, we could monetize this. We could all quit our fucking day jobs and do this and hang out. And would we necessarily want to be on here and just talking about bullshit? No, but we could, parlay that into maybe gaming together and recording it or doing other things and putting it out. But at the end of the day, I don't care about the numbers. I don't even care so much about my time. It is, again, making sure that everybody wants to be here because they want to, and please, not because of some obligation that you feel like, well, I don't want to let these people down. Don't give a shit about, at least I don't give a shit about that. I want everybody here because they want to be, because the minute you don't, then the enjoyment gets sucked right out of it. And that's not worth it to me. And we've always said, go live your lives, go enjoy it. We always put some in the can that we can release if people aren't going to be here. Ultimately, my question is, and I wanted to do it openly and record it, does everybody still want to do it? And if so, what do we do to kind of trigger? And like I said, maybe just moving to Thursday nights is the answer. But I never want
there. Yeah, let's start there. Let's try and hang a good topic.
Yeah, and I want to say that's the other thing is I think sometimes too, and this is not fair to you, Thor. The topics, like knowing more in advance, because knowing on a Friday or a Saturday, it pigeonholes to be able to research and really be invested in the topic and be present for me. No, you're good.
It's not a problem.
No, you're good. You're good. Just showing up, right?
You're this talented.
I mean, bro, that's
good. Yeah, that's right. I'm that talented.
That's good for you.
Just
I mean, you can do that. I'm not that talented.
No, Haas is the Jared Leto of podcasting. He needs to get into character.
He's a method caster.
Yes, he's a method caster.
I don't fling feces at people just because that's what a gorilla would do.
He does it for other reasons.
I do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
Well, next week we're going to be talking about squirting, and unfortunately, you won't be here.
We need an expert. That was not why you called Cass, was it?
I want him to just get hit with a bucket of water from out of shot.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Like flash dance and just fucking.
Oh, or yeah, the old what is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon.
Yes. Get slimed. Yep.
Double Dare. So again, we're all in agreement. We still want to do it.
Yep.
I love it. Let's shift days and see. Yes, it's tough to come up with topics sometimes. And I know Grinch, you and I, we game throughout the week and it'll be, do we have a topic? No, still thinking about it. And a lot of times the lack of topics aren't because the topics don't exist. You're busy at work. Haas is busy at work. Mac is
doing something.
Mac.
We don't know what it is.
He's managing people.
Right.
That shit. Not much longer.
I don't know about that, but
not much longer.
And so we get to that point in the week where it's like, oh shit, we need a topic. And I know Haas, you're like, well, getting it before Friday would be beneficial. Yeah, but there are just some times where all of the moving parts just haven't synced
Again,
up.
bro, it's not a comment or judgment on you.
Oh, I
we
know, I
could
know.
we could all be more communicative about it, right? And be
Right.
kicking that can around versus sitting here trying to wait on you to come up with a topic for us, or you
Well-
to dig one out of Grinch.
Well, I was about to say, admittedly, Grinch has
I know, that's why I said I'm real about this. I understand. I just part of it is ownership. Like maybe I need to take more ownership in my role in all of this. Maybe I've become too complacent.
It's
And
possible. I know Mac
lackadaisical
has.
about it.
Mac just shows up and then he disappears after an hour.
Yeah, but when you're that sexy, I mean,
You can get away with it.
That's right.
Right. There has only been one of us that has drank the Reaper on a show multiple times. So I don't want to hear anything about commitment. Okay.
You're not committed. You were committed to episode. That's all I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, I'll find some more Reaper.
Sure you will. Okay, probably not even in the stores anymore.
Actually, it hasn't been the last couple times I've been because I've been looking.
Did
They
go
still
out of
in business?
They are because I did see when I was looking for the Southern Pines, shameless plug.
Ready to
Because I
drink.
can tell you, if he runs his business like he
Um,
conducts a freaking podcast interview,
The dude had to go at the last minute to pick up his daughter from school because of
COVID.
COVID, and he didn't want to cancel on us.
excuses.
Man, I hope I never work for you. Good God, you are a hard ass.
I mean,
But yeah,
maybe.
so they did have the Doodle Sasser Lemonade RTD in the stores. So I'm assuming they're still in business.
Did
yes.
you get it?
I did not because I was disappointed that I couldn't find the Southern Pines gin and tonic. I had a mission. I couldn't find what I wanted, and nothing else was going to do.
How are the drinks going? Are they good?
Yeah, they're good. They're going well. We'll probably get cans for the other two more flavors this week, I think.
Nice.
And by the way, and my drink notwithstanding, with the sign I saw for Mac, I did find a sign for you as well, Haas. It said 1 gin, 2 gin, 3 gin floor.
Coincidentally, that was my night last night.
With your pours, I'm not surprised.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he could get through way more than 3.
Well, it was a long day yesterday. I may have done the rounds. Yeah,
It happens.
it's good times.
It
Yeah.
happens.
But that's how it ended.
At the end of the day, I won't lie and tell you that obviously I'm still excited that y'all want to be a part of it, because it is always a question in my own mind that I have. And it's why I ask. And you guys are like, you don't need to fucking ask, but I do, for me. And as I said, I know there are other considerations that have to be weighed here, the wives, the jobs, and so forth. And if that is ever a factor or an issue, it only needs to be voiced. Again, there will not be an issue from my perspective. If you guys are like, look, I need to step away. And maybe it is, I need to step away for a month. Not me, but if somebody says, look, I need to step away for a month, we can continue on and then fold you back in. Nobody here is a guest. So it's not, well,
I do feel guilty when I step away.
Well,
I pretty much thought I was going to get replaced at one point, so I can't step away anymore.
I mean, Fancy Ace was available, and he
Look,
does have a certain charm.
hey,
to
that's
him.
quality.
If Fancy
Quality.
Ace is ever available, pick him up.
Mac's
I'm
like,
okay
if
with
that's
that.
who's got to replace me, I'm good.
I'm good with that.
So what about TW? We could replace you with him. Except I think the other
I
people on the
said
show would
Fancy
drop
Ace.
off.
And the podcast just came to an end.
Just came to an
And
end.
just like that, it's over.
Done.
Goodbye, everybody.
Did you ever reply to him?
Uh-uh.
I didn't think so.
No.
Did he ever
I-
keep reaching out, or did it just stop?
No,
Okay.
no. I debated it, and I was just like, no, I'm.
You don't need that in your life.
Did he go
Oh,
through
well,
mom and pops, or was this
Uh,
just unsolicited reached out to you?
Yeah, the latter. Yeah.
Weird.
No, which the thing is I do still see his mom and his stepdad pretty regularly when we go back, because their haunts are kind of the same places my parents go to, like
It's time to find new haunts.
yeah, maybe, I guess, but I mean, I see them at least. It's weird, like just about once every trip home, I run into them somewhere, and we catch up, or whatever. But no, I debated it, and then I talked to you guys about it, and then I ultimately thought about, well, what's the point?
Oh, what are you getting out of that?
What's the
Nothing.
point?
Yeah.
What's the point? Drama?
Yeah.
I'm
And
good.
you don't need that shit.
Nope. I got it. I got all I need
All
right
the
here.
drama you need right there.
Mhm.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I think, at least for me, and I don't know how the other three fare, but at least for me, I've got my decision based on what y'all have said. I know what we're doing. We'll shift. We'll see if that kick starts. We'll come up with a topic. We'll come up with a topic early, Haas, when you are on, because I know you won't be here next week. When you are on, we will do our level best to get a topic out early in the week, especially now since we're pivoting. You won't have the same kind of time. So it'll be a matter of getting something out so that Matt can do his due diligence as needed to be a
half
solid
human, half
contributing
donkey.
member.
I mean, someone has to be
More
the
than that,
someone
right?
has to be the neutral zero-sum voice, right?
Max, like, I drink Reaper whiskey. What else do I need to bring to the
I was
table?
gonna say.
And I know things.
I
And
was
I
gonna
know
say,
things. There you go.
you could start tasing body parts.
Okay. I mean, I could probably bring that to the table if you want me to.
Next week, I just want you to
No,
bring
I
some.
don't. I love you too much for that.
I want you to
No.
bring some hot wings next week, or just plain wings with some hot sauce. And then after every question, I just want you to keep loading up, taking some bites. I mean, we'll try out your format just to see if this works. It doesn't have to be the set off of online. You can go out and find yourself some quality hot sauce.
Probably won't be next week, but I can do it the week after.
Are you going to order the pack offline? I mean, I'll consider it.
No.
It is like 100 something.
Yeah,
bucks,
it's yeah. That's why I
That's
say
if you go with the 10.
if you do that, I think we do it when Haas is home,
It's home.
and we
Yeah.
can all
Do the
chip
same
in
hot
because we
sauce.
don't. What are you
Well,
going to
'cause
do with 10?
No one's no one's gonna go
Yeah,
through
you're
all
going
those
to do a
hot
little
sauces.
dab and then throw the rest of it away.
Yeah,
I love hot sauce, so I mean, I will.
Okay.
I do too, but not something that's like 8 million Scoville. Like you look at the bottle and start crying. No.
That's not your thing? That's okay. It's not mine either.
Satan's asshole.
That's what makes this fun.
Yeah, I mean, I like Friday nights, but I draw the line somewhere.
Dab a little hot sauce on your asshole.
Eating Satan's anus. I draw the line there.
Well,
Nothing
technically,
good comes from that.
So that's where you draw
technically
the
you're
line,
dabbing it on
Satan.
her asshole before you eat. She may have issue with
Well,
that.
okay. It depends on who she is, and yeah, it depends on a lot of factors.
Wait, how
Let's
many
just-
options are there for who
Bro,
she
say,
is?
I live in the world of options.
Some
Options are. Come on,
Would you
man.
do it there?
With that being
Come
said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a day. We do appreciate you joining. Listen if you want. If you don't, that's fine too, because we're going to keep doing what we do. And, no, our website is not up, but feel free to drop us a line at thefullhorseman@aspiritodebate.com. You can drop us a line, a topic you'd like us to debate, a drink you'd like us to try. If we don't hear from you, again, it's not going to stop us from doing what we're doing. And if you've heard it here, even with the concern, even with wondering, are we doing the right thing? Should we be pressing forward? Still some entertainment there, still some comedy. We can still joke with each other. 30 plus years has brought us to this crossroads. And we are all still on this journey together, nearly 3 years in. And that is exciting for me. And I do appreciate you guys still being willing to do it, because it is something, when I weigh the pros and cons, and that's why I reached out to Mac, was like, are we still doing the right thing? And so having this conversation helped. It at least tells me that you guys still want to be a part of it. And if there is something else we'd rather do, let's do it. I'm afraid to even ask.
I don't even want to look.
Okay, wait, huh? What? There it is. Oh, Jesus.
Max
Yes,
said
Mac.
he tastes himself.
Mac, yes. Yes.
All right. All right. The gauntlet has been thrown down. All right.
What? No.
I'll get some
We have to
Depends.
be in person for that, though. I'm sorry.
No.
That's an in-person
Oh,
That
situation.
dude is just out.
And just falls out. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't see it. It doesn't matter, but it was a phenomenal meme from Grinch. And so, yes, so we're going to go ahead and call it a day there. Week in and week out, we will be here. Please pay attention. Look for the new episodes to drop. And like I said, listen if you want to. If you don't, that's fine too. Gentlemen, I love you. I appreciate you being here. Can't wait to do this again next week. So thank you very much. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the A Spirited Debate podcast series or any affiliated podcast are solely those of the hosts or guests involved and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations that the host or guests may or may not be associated with in a professional or personal capacity, unless explicitly stated. While guests are invited to listen, listeners acknowledge that they are not being provided professional advice from the podcast or its guests. The content within the parameters of A Spirited Debate podcast series or any affiliated podcast are for entertainment and educational purposes only. Any views or opinions are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, or individual.